I am so excited to show you my brand new dice vault design. Let me walk you through some of the details, and then I'm going to show you step by step how to put it together. So first things first, let me just give you a little overview of the size of this thing. So this is 13 inches long by 4.5 wide, and it's 1.5 inches tall. And the reason it's 1.5 inches tall is a couple different things. One, it's 1.5 inches tall so that it can have dice inside, so it has enough room. But it is the other dimension specifically because this is made to work with the iPad Pro, the largest version, and let me show you why. So when you open it up, I'll go through all the different features here, but the first things first is I'm going to show you how the iPad goes with it, and then I'll get into the rest of it. So you take your iPad and you can set it right down here in this slot just like that, and you can play the game and have your character sheet up here or whatever else you want, but it's specifically made for the largest, I think it's a 12.9 iPad Pro. You can put other devices in there as well. You can put your phone here, a smaller iPad, or perhaps other brands. You'll want to make sure that you measure this particular slot relative to how thick your tablet is, but it should work with just about anyone out there on the market. But make sure you check that first, and I'll put that in the description so you know how big that slot is. And of course, you can always adjust it if you want. But let me just walk you through the features here, because I think you're going to just absolutely love it. So first of all, again, it's held shut with 8 magnets. I will include the magnets that I use here in the size that they are, but you can buy any magnets you want and change the size there if you need to. But let me walk through all the features. So first of all, when you open it up, you're going to see that there's space for 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 different dice right here. So you can put your dice right there. Right here, I'm going to set this guy off to the side for a second. We'll talk about him in a minute. Right here, you've got, I believe it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 total initiative trackers. And here's how these things work. You can do them a number of different ways. These are acrylic that I cut here, and I just wrote with a Sharpie names of players on them and names of other characters. And of course, you guys who play will know right away how these could be used. And I included so many different ways that you can use these. Let me show you the first way. Let's move this off to the side. Let's take the lid right here. The lid, I'll move these for a moment. We'll talk about those. So right here, you've got a lid that you can roll in, and then you can also use initiative trackers. For example, here's Mark and Mitch and Roger and Angie. Spoiler alert, that's my family. And then you can have your goblin, your orc, whoever you've got going on here. I'll just throw those over there. And then, of course, when something happens, you can say like Mark is blinded or Angie's frightened. Of course, she's a black belt. She's never frightened. Charmed. You can do whatever you want to. Stunned. And you can use those exactly like that. So that's one way you can use the initiative trackers. And you can store, I think, up to 25 of these in the box in various places. So I think you're really going to like that. But let me keep showing you the other ways that this can be used. Of course, again, you can roll in here. I put some felt in here to make it roll really nicely. So I think you'd want to try that. But let me show you some other ways this can be used as well. Let me bring this back up here. You can take this little tab right here and stick it right down in here. And you can take the base here and you can set it right in here. If you're a DM, you can set it right in here as a screen. And then check this out. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I'll hold this up in front of the camera and then put it in there. There's this piece here that was in the lid. You can put that right in here and put that as an additional screen. And another screen to the side and to the other side, right like that. And right there, you've got a nice compact screen that you can use if you're a DM. It works really great this way. And then if you'd like, you can take this piece that was sitting right in here. I'll turn this off to the side a little bit. And you can, again, put your phone in here if you'd like. And or you can use these spots again for initiative trackers, just like on the lid. So that's yet another way to use it. Let me keep going here. If you are not a DM, you can take the top piece out like this. You don't even have to use these at all. And if you'd like to, you can take these out of here and you can roll in this spot right here. And once again, in the top of the lid here, there are slots for initiative trackers, right like that, the same way that we did on the lid. So you can use that, excuse me while I drop everything, you can use that in a variety of different ways. You can take that out like that. You can also put a pencil in this space right here, and you can store whatever you'd like. If you don't use initiative trackers, you can store things right in here as well. Again, this piece fits right in like that. The one screen goes in there, other screen goes there, the tab goes in there, the top screen goes right in like this, and then the whole thing closes right on itself like that. Okay, let me go over one thing about the pieces, and then I'll put them all together for you right here. So first of all, I'm using two different thicknesses of materials in this design. And you really need to pay attention to these, because if you don't, certain things aren't going to fit right. I'm using 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch, and it doesn't actually matter if your materials measure exactly 1/4 inch or exactly 1/8, but you want to generally use that those two divisions there, and I'll show you why. There are a total of 4 pieces that are 1/4 inch, and all the rest are 1/8. So these 2 pieces here are part of the base where where the iPad goes in the slot there, and the dice go here, and there's a little rolling spot right there as well. Those 2 are definitely going to need to be 1/4 inch. If you don't use 1/4 inch here, they're not going to be thick enough to have your dice clear the space. So those 2 on the base, and then there's the optional additional phone holder and initiative tracker here. So, and by the way, these 2 pieces come right out of that slot right there in the 1/4 inch. So you can actually cut them all at the same time right there, or not all at the same time, but you know, this one out of here and that one out of there. So this is going to take 1/4 inch right there. Again, that's part of the base. Let me set that over there. Everything else is 1/8 inch. So let me start with the lid, and I'll put these all together. So we're going to build up from the bottom of the lid, or the top of the lid. Actually, we're going to build it upside down. So we're going to take this solid piece first. Then we'll take this piece here that has all the notches in it. We'll put that down next. Followed by what I call a spacer, just a rectangle. After the spacer, let me push those up a little bit. After the spacer comes these 4 pieces here. These 2 that are identical to each other, just flipped over. They're going to be glued right on there. And bear with me here, because I'm not gluing anything together, obviously, as I'm doing this. So it's going to be a little perilous to hold together, but that's okay. Then you're going to glue these guys on. Let me give you a little tip right here, because the last piece that's going to go on is this one right here. And you want the side with the slots right here are going to go here against the side that doesn't have the notches. So in other words, not like this. It's going to go like this. Now, as you can see, as you're gluing these together, things are going to want to move around. So what I recommend is to be patient, like I was not when I built these the first couple times, and glue each layer or every couple layers on, and use some clamps and let them dry first, and then continue building up. If you try to do these all at one time, especially this layer right here, they're going to want to do this kind of thing on you, and you don't want that to happen. So another tip, as you are getting these in here, it's really important that this space, these 4 slots in here, all stay the right distance apart, because if they're just a little bit off, you're not going to be able to fit things in there that belong in there. So here's what I do. This guy here is the little notch, the little tab that goes into the base to hold one of the screens up. And I use that and put it right in there as a spacer, because that's the piece that's going to go in there later, and get that all nice and lined up. And when you glue that down, just don't get any glue under that, because that needs to come out. But then you can also cut a few more of those and use those around here because it's really cheap to cut those, and it's really good to use as a spacers there. You can also use these pieces here because these are actually the pieces that are going in the sides. So if you want to, you can gently lay them in there, maybe prop them up on that end, and again, keep this space exactly the way you want it there. One more time, let me just tell you, if they get a little too close like this, just a fuzz too close, this will not fit. So be patient when you're putting these together and glue that all nice and straight. And once those are nice and dried, you can then take these out, and then you'll take this top piece and glue it right on there. Again, make sure everything's nice and straight. And that's your lid. So let me move that over there. Now the base is really easy. Grab the pieces there. The base, we'll start from the bottom again. There's the bottom. The next piece up is going to be the one with the full circles right there, followed by this one that has the partial circles. Get those all nice and lined up with each other. Then the next one's going to be this one here that does not have the holes in it, okay? That's one of your keys there. This one here, you're gonna line that slot up. Might even be a good idea to take, again, this tab, because that's the one that goes in there anyway, and put it in there and keep that nice and straight. Don't let that get glued in there, of course. And then you can take this last one, let me move that real quick, and you can put it on there as well. Line that all up. And again, put that in there to help you keep straight. That would be good, right like that. And that is your base. Now let me give you a couple tips about the base, or about all these, but specifically about the base. If you do it the way I did it and you use the clear acrylic, like you see here, this one here, it's beautiful, but you want to make sure that you don't have glue showing in places that you don't want it. So for example, right here, you can put glue all the way around here. It's great. Pick up the next one, same thing, because it's all getting covered by the next layer. And you see this next one? Put glue right here is great. You don't want glue out here because it's not going to get covered. And this is, if you do this clear, it's going to look beautiful, but you don't want to get glue in this area or in this area. So on the rest of these layers, since it's clear, if you're doing clear, just put the glue way out here. That's going to be plenty to keep it together. And then again, out here, don't put any in here because it'll end up showing up. Or you can probably, nope, you can't even put it there either. You just want to put it right around this outside rim because that's going to be plenty. And again, one more time, the same thing here. Put it right here along the edges, but not on the insides because you'll see it. If you're going to use wood on all these layers, then of course you can hide it easily. That's no problem. But that's one of the keys here. Another one is your magnets that you use. It depends on what size magnets you get. I'm going to leave in the description, I'm going to leave a link to where I got them and what size they are. But you definitely want to test these first because you want to get them in that hole and make them fit perfectly, just like that. And if you get the wrong size or different size, you'll need to change the size of that hole. Another tip that Mark struggled with mightily is getting the magnets facing the right way. Here's what I mean. So these are all stuck together. When you put the first layer together, it doesn't matter which side goes up as long as the other side connects to it properly. For example, I'll take one off of here and I'll make sure that this side is going up. I'll glue that in there, take it off like that, right? And so on. Make sure that the right side is facing up. And then you want to make sure on your lid that the right side is facing up that will connect to this magnet, right? Because if you put them wrong, it will push away and it won't work. It is really easy to get that wrong. So really pay attention when you're doing these particular magnets. So make sure you pay attention. Did I say that? Pay attention to the magnets. Let me think. What else do we have here? Oh, yes, one more key. And thank you for watching this. I think this is going to really help you if you pay attention to these details. You can use any thickness you want to of materials on this piece and basically the outsides of each piece. It doesn't really matter necessarily. However, couple keys. Whatever magnets you use, make sure that the thickness of this magnet is the same thickness as this material. For example, I accidentally bought some 1/4 inch thick magnets, and of course they were too thick for this. So if you're going to use 1/4 inch, make sure you use 1/4 inch on the piece that the magnets go into. Make sense? Seems really obvious, but that's something that you can really mess up on. Here's another part. These pieces here, they slide in to the gaps that are on the lid. So you must make sure that this material and these pieces of material here are the same thickness, because those pieces of material create this gap where they slide into. And if these are different sizes, it may not fit. So just pay attention to that. The same is true with this right here. Just make sure that you are using a material width here that's the same as that slot. All this is pretty easy, but just make sure you pay attention to it, because otherwise it'll bite you in the butt. So anyway, I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions. I really am looking forward to seeing how beautiful you make these things. Let me show you one last one if you haven't seen it. Here's a version I made for my son here using pattern ply from Smoky Hill Designs, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Let me see if I can open this without making a mess. Yep, there we go. And it's all acrylic and clear acrylic and that pattern ply, and it is fantastic. So have fun doing that. If you want to do that, it'll look great. Also, if you want to engrave something on the lid, I think that would look absolutely gorgeous as well. So have fun with these, make them beautiful as gifts or for yourself. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them, but until then, I'll see you in the next one.